Joining me now is our NBC News chief international correspondent and veteran Putin watcher, Keir Simmons in Moscow, and was at that news conference. So, Keir, Putin, he skipped his annual address last year, as you've been pointing out, making this his first since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and he seemed more confident than ever.
Well, I think that's right, Andrea, and I think that was such a good soundbite to play from that news conference that was 4 hours long, because it was the one moment, as far as we can tell, when he did reference the potential reduction in support from Washington, from Europe, for the Ukrainians, that he was aware of that it might come to an end, as he put it. Look, if anyone in Washington is under the illusion, Andrea, that President Putin is getting ready to walk into talks and compromise, they were disabused of that impression today by President Putin himself, who again and again in different ways said things like victory will be ours. He said that Russia now has, according to him, more than 600,000 troops along the front line in Ukraine, and talked about more coming online, if you like, in the months ahead. So no matter what people's assessment of the conflict itself, the reality is that the president of Russia here in Moscow is still saying that he is determined to try to achieve the aims that he's always talked about, for example, the demilitarization, as he calls it, of Ukraine. Now, there was a suggestion he's prepared to talk about the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and the American Paul Whelan, both being held in jail here in Russia. Evan Gershkovich accused of espionage, Paul Whelan convicted. Both absolutely deny those allegations against them. He said that he was prepared to do some kind of a deal. Take a listen.
It's not that we decline to send them home. No, we want to come to terms, and these agreements must be mutually acceptable. I hope we'll find a mutually acceptable solution, but the American side should also listen to us and make a decision that would be satisfactory for the Russian side also.
But once again, Andrea, really important point here, and it goes, it counts right across the piece. President Putin says he's prepared to talk. The question is what demands he's making, both for those 2 Americans held here and also on other fronts, if you like. And, there will be those concluding that if the Russians aren't prepared to compromise, then the talks don't really go anywhere. And, of course, President Zelensky, who's now in Europe, has also been clear that he is not interested in compromise, that he wants to see Russia going back to the 2014 internationally recognized borders.
Yeah, and Keir, on Evan Gershkovich, they today decided to extend till the end of January again, so he has not been able to have a hearing on his appeal to get out. He hasn't, the trial hasn't started. And there had been reports here that there was a deal from the U.S. side that the U.S. said was a very positive proposal, but that it was rejected by Moscow. But Putin is pushing back on that, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, brave question, by the way, Andrea, from the New York Times reporter who stood up in that news conference and asked about Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan. And I suppose you could read from it that a little bit of light was shone on things, that President Putin and the Russian government is prepared to negotiate, and that might be hopeful a little bit for the administration and for the families, but ultimately the issue is that we don't know what is being talked about and what the Russians are demanding, and without knowing that, it's difficult to know where those talks actually will go.
Evan has been there since March. Paul Whelan has been in jail 5 years now. It's just appalling. Thank you very much, Keir Simmons. And joining us now is retired Lieutenant General Steph Twitty, former Deputy Commander of U.S. European Command. General, it's good to talk to you today about where we stand, because Zelensky obviously left without getting the money that he needs. There's a little bit in the pipeline, but according to the U.S., maybe another month. So where do we stand with the winter the winter months ahead, already underway, and Ukraine not having the offensive weapons and the defensive weapons that it says it needs.
Yes, what I will tell you, Andrea, that Ukraine is going to be in an extremely difficult situation in terms of trying to execute this war come next spring. And what the time should be used at this point in time while winter has set in up into February, March timeframe is for the Ukrainians to rearm, fix all the broken equipment that they broke during their counteroffensive, and also to consolidate, reorganize, and get themselves ready for the next counteroffensive next year. They will not be able to do that given that they don't have the funding for spare parts, for additional equipment to come into a system, such as additional drones, such as F-16s, such as spare parts, as I mentioned. And so they face a Russian force now of 600,000 soldiers that are highly equipped that they're going to have to go against. And so, in my view, if they do not get the funding, they will not be able to succeed in this fight.
General, with that in mind, do you think that that there's going to be more pressure for Zelensky to do something like go to negotiations, which would clearly mean not getting back the territory, all of the territory that they have lost?
I would hope not, and here's why. If Ukraine goes to the bargaining table, or if Ukraine loses this war, you might as well say the U.S. lost the war, NATO has lost this war, because remember, we backed Ukraine from the beginning in this war. NATO backed Ukraine from the beginning of this war. And if we abandon the Ukrainians, then we have lost just as much as the Ukrainians have lost. So I would much rather push forward, push hard. Let's get the funding in there. And then let's focus on not just this funding, but this war is going to take some time. I think it's going to take years. So they will need sustainable funding and predictable funding for the long term.